Grand Slam Track Philadelphia is over, and the biggest story from that meet, and perhaps in the entire sprinting world at this moment, has to be Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. I probably don't need to fill you in by now, but I'm gonna say this part anyway. She went out there and ran 10.73 seconds. Wind legal in the 100-meter dash, in a race that she dominated. Like, there was nobody on that line who was anything close to her when that race was over. That was her performance. And it's not just one race. You have to understand, she's showed up to all the slams up until now. She's undefeated in the 100 and has become a slam champion in every single one. This is a woman who never even ran the 200-meter dash on the professional circuit up until this year. And now that she actually has gone out there and done it, because Grand Slam asked her to do it, she just beat Gabby Thomas in an open 200. Granted, we're talking about like early June, but she did it, and she broke the 22-second barrier when she did. Now, I'm not gonna jump out the window with this, but it's time that we have the real conversation, because Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is not brought up hardly at all when we talk about the absolute best sprinters in the entire world on the women's side. Don't get me wrong, she's an Olympic bronze medalist in the 100. Like, that happened. And she's a former American champion, once again in the 100. But when people talk about the best in the world, we all know which names keep showing up at the top. Sha'Carri Richardson, the reigning world champion from 2023. Julien Alfred, now the Olympic gold medalist from 2024. And you still got to put Shericka Jackson on that list because of everything that she's done. I mean, not just the 100, really takes you over to the 200. And then you've got the big three from Jamaica. Everybody else in the world who's not the names I just said feel like they're the second tier. I mean, you can let me know in the comment section if I'm missing this, but historically speaking, that is who we expect to see in the winner's circle. And now, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is here, and she's making it clear that she has no plans on going anywhere. You could say that the slams don't really matter that much, and that World Championships is coming, and that she has to do it on that stage. You could say that, but she's now $300,000 richer, and has done it emphatically. So let's have the conversation. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden versus the rest of the world, because although she might not be the favorite, I'm here to say that at this moment it's starting to look like she probably should be. So where is she compared to everybody else in the world who is supposed to be there in the World Championship final this year? That is the conversation. Because although Worlds might be in September, y'all do realize the calendar is moving, and we're getting closer and closer to that moment. So here we go. If Melissa Jefferson-Wooden has already run this fast at this point, and as far as we know, she hasn't done anything too different with her training, like she still plans on putting herself in position to go faster. Before I get to the other names, I have to remind people just how good she actually is, because most people really weren't paying attention. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden went to Coastal Carolina University in Division I, and that was not an accident, because she was really no higher than maybe a high-level 3-star recruit, like not even on the 4-star tier, when she was coming out of high school. So she goes to Coastal, climbs her way up to the top of that conference pretty quickly, and then shocks the world by winning an NCAA indoor championship in the 60. And before you tell me that it doesn't matter, Julien Alfred was in that race. The same Julien Alfred who had already broken a collegiate record in the 60-meter dash before that gun went off. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is one of the few people on the planet who can actually say she beat Julien Alfred in a 60-meter dash at any level. That actually happened. Later that same year, she ended up going to the NCAA outdoor meet, didn't perform at her best, but shows up to the USAs, and then wins the USA Championship in 2022. It was a wind-assisted time, but she ran incredibly fast when she did it. That was the year when Sha'Carri Richardson really was not on her game. So she goes over to the World and she makes the final in the 100, but she doesn't get a medal, so most people don't really notice. And then 2023 happens, where Melissa Jefferson-Wooden actually doesn't make the World Championship team in the 100. Again, she was competitive, but she doesn't make it because Team USA is pretty hard to do. And Sha'Carri was on her game then, and Sha'Carri takes the World that year. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden actually switched her training group. She trains with Sha'Carri now, and Twanisha Terry. All three of them made Team USA in 2024. They went over to the games, all went to the 100-meter final, and Melissa Jefferson-Wooden got the bronze medal in a race that I don't have to remind you about because you probably saw that one. That is Melissa Jefferson-Wooden's report. Again, we're talking about the 100, and now she's announced herself as somebody who could run the 200. I'm not saying that she will at the USA's, but if she did, you're going to have to go pretty fast now if you want to keep her off that team in that event. Because normally speaking, if you can break 22 and specifically do it on that day, you're probably going to make the team. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. Sha'Carri Richardson, on the other hand, whom she trains with, really hasn't shown us anything this year thus far. The last race that we saw of her, after the Olympic Games was the Diamond League final, and that race did not go so well in 2024. Again, just being honest. Hey, I'll get to the woman who won that race in a moment, but let's just focus on Sha'Carri, because between then and now, we've barely seen her race. She ran in Tokyo, and once again, that race did not go so well in the 2025 season. That was within the last month. We're still waiting to see Sha'Carri come back again. She has a wild card or like a bye into the World Championships, doesn't have to run at USA's and qualify. So as a result, I guess we don't really have to press the panic button, at least on that level. But Sha'Carri Richardson, because she is a reigning world champion in the 100, is going to be graded on a very high standard. She has to come back to the Worlds and win it. That's it. If she doesn't win it, like any other medal, it's going to be some form of a disappointment. And if she doesn't get a medal, that's going to change a lot about how people look at her. Again, if we're just talking about the track and field success point, remember, Sha'Carri Richardson might be a world champion, but she almost didn't make a final that year. She was essentially the last qualifier to get into that final. It's why she was in lane 9 to begin with. And that's how she becomes the only woman to win a championship, from lane 9 in a 100. But that was then. Hey, it is what it is, and this is now. She's the reigning world champion, not Olympic champion, and expected to be there when it's all done. So something's going to have to happen between the races where she's getting 4th, behind Brie Rizzo and everybody else, and when we get to the Worlds. Something's going to have to happen, and I'm pretty sure she's working on it. I'll be paying very close attention when we see her at the Prefontaine, because that's just about the only time that I actually expect to see her run on the track between then and now. Which leads me to Julien Alfred, the woman who beat her out at the Olympic Games. Because Julien Alfred has gone out there and competed. She may not have raced all that much, and she's making it very clear that Worlds this year is her focus. But we are getting evidence that Julien Alfred is taking this very seriously. The only times that we got to see her run this year, she has been in the front of the race when it was all done. Whether it was indoors or outdoors, whether it was a 300 or a 200. We actually haven't really seen her in the 100 up until now. But because she's run 21.8 in the 200 early in the season, there's no reason to doubt that she'll be fine in the Open 100. So if you told me Julien Alfred is your favorite to win the World Championship, I would not blame you. But I would also point out that how fast Melissa Jefferson-Wooden just went is more or less about as fast as Julien Alfred has ever gone in her career. So if they both come with that type of fire, it's a toss-up. Sha'Carri Richardson, interestingly enough, has a PR that's distantly ahead of them. Wind legal in the 100, she got into the 10.6s. So you could say that off of past history, maybe you're looking at her. But I'm focusing on what we got in 2025, because guess what? The championship is going to happen in 2025. Julien Alfred, she comes in and performs. That's what she does. She's been doing it since she figured things out at the college level, because although Melissa Jefferson wouldn't beat her back in that championship race when she was in college, like that NCAA indoor race, that was before Julien Alfred leveled up. Because once she did, she flat out didn't lose in college anymore. That's what her final year in a Texas uniform looked like. She essentially walked off the track from college, walks into the Worlds, runs into the 100 and 200 meter finals, barely misses medals for the most part in both, and then comes back to the Olympic Games in 2024, where you know what happened. Remember, I am focusing on the 100, just to clarify. Which brings us now to Shericka Jackson, because we really don't know if Shericka Jackson is going to run the 100 at the Worlds this year. The only thing that we do know is that she did run a 100 in the Diamond League just a few weeks ago. And when she did, she actually won that race, because the race she ran earlier this year, she didn't really look all like herself. It doesn't really matter how fast she goes. The fact that she won, I think with about 11:04, 11:03, something like that, but getting a victory on the Diamond League circuit, a victory where she clearly looked disappointed, feeling like she probably should have went faster. But it starts to let me know that Shericka Jackson is more or less back, and she'll be fine by the time we get to the Worlds. Now, when I say fine, that doesn't mean she doesn't have competition. It's kind of why we're having this discussion. But she'll be fine, and then she'll be there, representing for Jamaica, competing at a level that is resembling what she has. So if she's in top gear, because she's also gone 10-6, she is a medal threat if she chooses to run the 100. And in the 200, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I actually kind of want Shericka Jackson to win the 200. I just wanted to go out there and run like herself, because I don't actually believe that anybody in the world has proven that they can run like Shericka Jackson in this current era. People can get close, like Gabby Thomas can get close, Julien Alfred can get close, but I don't think they have her level of talent, not 21-4 level of talent, at least not yet. I ain't seen that. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce still exists, and she's still on the track this year. Although she is not quote-unquote in the prime of her career, you cannot count out somebody who is that level of a champion when they show up on the line. It reminds me of, again, I'm in the group that sees her as like the GOAT of the 100. At least just when you're talking about the whole career, I'm giving it to her in the women's 100. Even when Michael Jordan came back and played when he was 40 years old in the NBA, he may not have been who Michael Jordan was, but he was still better than a whole lot of the rest of y'all. That's where Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is. Do I expect her to win Worlds this year? No, I don't. Do I fully expect her to be in the final? Yes, I do. I think she has too much talent and too much experience to not get that far. And when she does, it really depends on the conditions of the race and, details that are out of everybody else's control, because all bets are off. Because she's won them in the past. She's continued to run fast times well into her career. So there's no reason to believe that she can't shock the world again, because, it's not really a shocker anymore when you're that talented. This is what Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is up against, because you could bring up other names in the rest of the world, and maybe I left somebody out, but I don't really think I did, because those are the women who you actually got to go through if you really want to get a medal, specifically in the 100-meter dash. And Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is on their level when it comes to talent. Whether or not we were paying attention earlier, she has our attention now. She is on their level and can compete with them. Anybody else who gets into that final, as far as I can tell, is running behind those women. Stuff can happen, things can hit the boards. This is why we run the races. But if everybody comes and does what they're capable of, those are the names that are actually going to matter when we start to hand out the medals. And if you're asking me how I see it at this moment, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden really believes, and she has a good reason to, that the gold medal should go to her when it's all done. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your Fast is a Lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop, or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.